So another academic year is down, and we continue. But my brothers and sisters, this year, this academic year, has been held within the context of the year of faith, a year in which we are all trying to live our faith more deeply and indeed intentionally to live our lives in an atmosphere of believing. Throughout this year, all of us, I'm sure, are trying to bring the light of our faith intentionally into whatever situations we have found, so that our faith is not something we just celebrate on a Sunday, but it's actually the atmosphere in which we live. Our belief in God is our sustenance. The last year also has been a dramatic year in the life of the Church universally, with the resignation of Pope Benedict and the election of Pope Francis. And in that context, we've had to live our faith also, our belief in God, our belief in the Church. We have been a studying community in the midst of a new Ireland being born, in which the old certainties of the past concerning our Catholicism and our role in the Irish society and the Irish state are being questioned and challenged. It is a year in which, as Pope Benedict said, we are being called to reaffirm our faith in God in a context which seems to push him more and more into the background. A context in which some might see that the sheep are being scattered among the nations, and our role is that of the Good Shepherd to care for them. But of all the memories I have of the last year, there is one which remains deeply etched in my mind. It was the night Pope Francis was elected. The community here went up from Vespers to the television to await the announcement of the new Pope. We chatted while we waited, and of course we got our bets in order onto who was going to win the lotto. We were united as a community to receive the new Pope's blessing. We knew very little about him, but we knew, even after that first Ubi et Orbi, that things were changing. That night, after night prayer, we sang the Te Deum. And the singing of the Te Deum that accompanied that night has remained with me as a symbol of this year of faith. None of us knew what the future held, but yet we gathered as a community and praised the Lord. The Good Shepherd, who constantly is with us to guide us. And this confidence in God must remain a hallmark of our faith. It involves us in our living of our faith within the context of believing in our loving Father. The Good Shepherd who will go to the furthest ends of the world for the good of his straying sheep. A shepherd who will go to the margins for our wandering sheep. And it is this love that we celebrate today in the solemnity of the Sacred Heart, in the midst of this year of faith. We place our hope and trust in God's love towards us, as St. Paul reminds us. A love that was made real in the life, death and resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth. A real human heart pumping with real divine love. What does it mean to be in formation? Surely it means that first and foremost we learn how to live believing that we have been found, and living every day in that belief of what it means to be the lost sheep who has been found and who now lives in the embrace of the loving shepherd. But it's also a formation that prepares us to go out and to search for the lost sheep. All of our study, I think, can be seen in these perspectives. Within our contemplative, praying, studying life as a community, to know and to live and to rejoice as being found, but also within our study and our prayer and our community to remember that we share in the apostolate of the Good Shepherd, to go out. And all our preparation in study and in prayer and in community has to be preparing us to go out and to care for the lost sheep. In the last audience of Pope Benedict, when he spoke about how he has felt over the last few years, like being in a boat with Jesus, and some wonderful days, he has said. But he said also there were times when he felt that Jesus was asleep in the midst of the rough winds. But the Pope said, but I have always known that the Lord is in that boat. And I have always known that the bark of the church is not mine, but his. Nor does the Lord let it sink. It is he who guides it. Surely also through those whom he has chosen, because he so wished. This has been and is a certainty which nothing can shake. This is the bedrock of our Christian faith, on our God and believing in our God. Some of you have heard me before share the reflection I have on the final apparition of Our Lady of Lourdes. On that 16th of July in 1858, when Bernadette felt again this move to go back to the grotto. But when she went back to the grotto, the authorities had put in a wooden fence around the grotto, a barricade, to stop people from going in. And Bernadette didn't push her way through, like some were doing, but she went to the opposite side of the river so that she could see over the barricade. And she says herself that when she looked over the barricade, she saw the Blessed Virgin, and she had a smile. A smile, she said, you would happily die to see again. This experience, I believe, of Bernadette can help us in this year of faith. To realize that no matter what is going on in our lives, that smile, the loving presence of the Good Shepherd, is always there. And sometimes maybe we do have to stand back from the barricade, from whatever is troubling us today, my preoccupation, my anxiety of the moment, and to stand back and to take in the deeper view, to look over whatever is going on, and to see the smile that is the reflection of God. And so this year of faith, we must live intentionally aware that that smile is always there, no matter what is going on or no matter what the future holds. Pope Benedict, in that final audience, said, I should like to invite all of us to renew our firm confidence in the Lord, to trust ourselves like children in God's arms, certain that those arms always hold us, enabling us to press forward each day, even when the going gets rough. I want everyone to feel loved by that God who gave his Son for us and who has shown us his infinite love. I want everyone to feel the joy of being a Christian. Is this not the joy of our Dominican vocation? To be able to preach so that all might feel the joy of being a Christian. And now, brothers and sisters, that the exams are over and the classes have stopped, it may be a little easier to feel the joy of being Christian. But, as Pope Francis reminds us, we can never become settled in our own private Christian happiness. We must go out to the extremities, the margins of society, to unite ourselves with the Good Shepherd who goes out to the peripheries to carry the love of his Sacred Heart into the world. In his first Chrism Mass, Pope Francis told the priests, but I would say he has spoken to all of us who are preachers. He said, we need to go out to the outskirts, where there is suffering, bloodshed, blindness that longs for sight, and prisoners in thrall to too many evil masters. It is not in soul-searching or constant introspection that we encounter the Lord. Self-help courses can be useful in life, But to live our priestly life, going from one course to another, from one method to another, leads us to become Pelagians and to minimize the power of grace, which comes alive and flourishes to the extent that we, in faith, go out and give ourselves and the gospel to others. This I ask you, be shepherds with the order of the sheep. Make it real as shepherds among your flock. Over the summer, we will all have the opportunities to become involved pastorally in various situations, to take on the order of the sheep. And you will be asked to carry home some of those sheep. This work must be integrated into your life of study here in Dominic Street. We here are trying to form preachers, not academics. It is our hope that the study we do here helps us to go out into the outskirts, to seek out the lost, and to bring the truth of God's gospel, of God's love to them. So I would say, dearest brothers, take your pastoral experiences seriously. It is in the many and varied situations you find yourself in that you will live out your faith. Bring that smile on the face of God into the lives of all you meet. If you fail to do this, then all the study and the teaching of the last year has been futile. Pope Francis will be the first to say that it is in the outskirts that the true exams are being held, that it is the grades of mercy that are the only grades you should be interested in. To finish, there is an image Pope Francis used in one of his morning reflections that I personally have found very challenging. But I think it has a relevance to us as we go out and become preachers in the world. He spoke of the Lord knocking at the door of our hearts. Now, usually when we think of this image, we think of God wanting to come into our lives. But the Pope has said that the Lord is knocking to invite us out, to come to follow him, to share in his pastoral ministry for the lost sheep. So whatever your pastoral work over the summer is, see it as it bringing forth of the love of the Sacred Heart. For we truly celebrate this feast in this year of faith when we make that divine love beat in the reality of people's lives. To quote again from Benedict, his divine heart calls to our hearts, inviting us to come out of ourselves, to abandon human certainties, to trust in him, and following his example, to make of ourselves a gift of love without reserve. This, dear brothers and sisters, is how I think we can, as preachers, live beautifully the year of faith.